All right, so a little learning moment here. This is probably kind of hard to see, but this is super grooved. It's really rough. That's because this pad was all out of material, and this was just the back plate that was rubbing against the rotor. Now, if you look at the inside pad, you can see that it still has a decent amount of meat on it. It still has at least a 1/4 inch, if not a little bit more, probably 3/16 of an inch. So how does that happen? How do we have one pad that has nothing on it, and the other one still has at least some relatively decent meat on it? The answer is that this pad doesn't have the ability to slide because it's frozen up inside of the tracks there. The reason this happens is because when this was put together initially, it probably didn't receive any lubricant on the actual tracks here. It didn't get any of the ceramic brake lubricants here, and so with this locked up in here, it's just going to prematurely wear out the only thing that is moving, which is that outer pad. Now this will happen sometimes. The outer pad will lock up and the inner pad will wear out, or sometimes you'll see that they'll wear out unevenly. If it wears out unevenly, then it's either one of two things. Either these have seized up, or these pins here, this pin goes on the caliper like that, and it slides on this brake yoke. So right there, this should have good have the ability to slide back and forth, which this one does. So we know that the pins aren't the issue, and it's clear that as I hold this by the brake pad, that is what the issue is. So I'm going to we'll just see how stuck this really is. I don't know if it's really that bad, but so you can see it takes a little bit of force to knock it out. Shouldn't be that way. It should slide right out. These, see, you can there's material missing because it got, well, maybe it's not missing, but it actually is still there. It's just so rusted that those pads rusted right to that shim. So make sure when you do your own brakes that you take the time to get the ceramic, get the appropriate lubrication so that your pads can slide through that easily and not cause premature wear. We should have probably got another 20,000-30,000 out of well, maybe not that many, maybe 10,000 out of that set of pads there before I had to replace it. But because of that grinding and how rough this rotor is now, I have to replace this rotor along with the pads. Maybe I'd have got 5,000 out of those pads had that issue not happened, and I wouldn't have to spend the money on the rotors right now. And these rotors aren't even that old. You can still see this old factory, not even old, but this paint is still here from when they were manufactured. So you can tell that they're not overly old, and there's a little bit of a ridge on the backside here, but it's not awful. Like, I probably would have just kept these rotors had this not been an issue. But now we've got to replace the rotor, and you place it on one side, you got to replace it on the other side. So now we're doing full pads and rotors on the whole front of the car because these were not properly lubricated in the first place.